There's something that really freaking irked me that I saw on Twitter. I saw it first on Twitter, but it happened on Twitch. It happened on a live stream. I'm assuming Twitch, actually. I don't know where the person was streaming. There was a clip made of it, and a situation happened, and it made me very upset. This is the clip here that we're gonna watch. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So what happened is this lady went into his stream. This guy asked her a question, which she responded to. He then went off on like a rant or a tangent about this whole thing around trauma bombing or trauma dumping. I guess that's the right term. Trauma dumping. That is like, it's this new thing on Twitch that you start hearing people talk about. You've been hearing a lot of streamers talk about it. It's becoming more and more of a thing that streamers are talking about, which is when people come into your stream and they kind of hijack your stream, talking about just like how their life is or how or whatever. Like I get what they're saying. Like if somebody comes in and they're like, hey, like, and you're like, hey, how are you doing? You know, like even in real life, you know, that's what a lot of these streamers like compare it to. It's like in real life, if you were walking into work and your coworker was like, hey, how's your day going? You're either going to respond with like yeah, I'm doing great, it's awesome. Or you're going to respond like, could be better, or dealing with some but it's whatever. You know, I'm going to power through. Like you're not gonna like, you know, go into your whole life story of everything bad happening to you, where that might happen for 15-30 minutes on somebody's live stream and like they're just bringing the whole chat down. So I get that. I get that trauma dumping can be a bad thing, but I think it's still important for streamers to remember that we're dealing with humans on the internet. These are real people struggling with real. It's like, oh, we don't want to take 15 minutes of talking to someone to bring the stream down. Instead, we would just rather say, oh, stop trauma dumping, because it's almost like humans can no longer stand not being happy 24/7. Myself included sometimes. Like it's like humanity has this thing, like if we're not happy 24/7, something's wrong. And like, we don't want to deal with bad issues. But it just seems more and more that that's the case nowadays. So I want to play the video. You'll see the interaction that happens between the two. Again, the lady that posted this on Twitter is Miss Nerdy Curvy. The gentleman's name, I don't actually know his name, to be completely honest, but let's watch the video and then we'll go from there.
In Spanish, and it's chef's kiss. All right. Kirby, where the f have you been?
Okay, so here the guy asks, Kirby, where the f have you been? Kirby is Miss Nerdy Curvy. So he said, Kirby, where the f have you been?
Oh my God. Well, tell you what, Miss Nerdy Curvy, you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to talk about it in my chat.
Let me
In
restart
Spanish,
that just to make sure we get it.
Kiss. All right. Kirby, where the f have you been? Oh my God. Well, tell you what, Miss Nerdy Curvy, you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to talk about it in my chat because it's Friday. And that is a whole big bucket of bummer. And I'm sorry for your loss, but we're not doing that in my chat.
So before we go on, let me give a little bit of context, because in the video, he doesn't actually say what she said. So he asked her, where the f have you been, Curvy? She replies, sorry, my mother passed away. That's all she said in the chat. Wasn't like, oh, sorry, my mom passed away. I'm dealing with some really big trouble. I'm dealing with like, like it wasn't like a go on type thing. He asked, where the f you been? She said, sorry, my mom died.
You said, no, that's fine. You asked, so I told. No, I didn't ask you to tell me the biggest bummer news in the world. I said, hey, what's up? How are you? You know what? Let me give you a little bit of a lesson, Miss Nerdy Kirby. When something really bad is going on in your life, and in a public forum, someone asks you, hey, what's up? How are you? There are two acceptable responses. Good, and you know what? I'll make it through. That's it.
So again, this is basically what I was talking about when I was talking at the beginning, that like if you go into work or something, you're never going to like tell somebody, you know, all of like your problems and your stuff. So I get the whole trauma dumping thing. But if you went to work and your coworkers were like, oh, you've been off for the last 2 weeks, you know, are you okay? And you would say like, yeah, I'm okay, you know, but my mom passed, so I had to take some time off work. That's not trauma dumping. Like you would say that to somebody at your workplace that you're not even like super close friends with or anything. But with a lot of these like smaller streamers like this guy, myself included, how you want to describe the relationship is tricky. But especially a small community, most of the time, everybody in that community is kind of like friends. Maybe not exactly like IRL friends, like where you go hang out at a bar or something, or back in school you went and hung out at their house. Like maybe not quite like that. In some sense, you guys are friends. Obviously, he knows her well enough that he's asking, where the have you been? And so again, so to say like, oh, my mother passed away, I don't think that is trauma dumping at all.
How are you? Good? Or, you know what? I'll make it through. Awesome. Love to hear it. See, there you go. Or Prom's response. I said, Prom, how are you doing? She says, I'm alive. There you go. Oh, I asked you where you were. Look, Mr. Kirby, I'm just subtly trying to tell you.
So right here, this is where I think he made the biggest mistake. She says, hey, I'm not trying to bum anyone out. You asked me where I was, so I said where. And right there, he's like, oh, I asked you. Like he realizes like, but instead of just admitting like, oh, my bad, because at first he thought he just said like, hey, how are you doing? So instead of being like, oh, my bad, and seeing it for what it was, he then immediately, like you can hear the tone change so quickly. It's like at first he's like, oh, my bad. But then it's quickly like, oh, well, so I'm going to replay that. But it's just, it's crazy.
Look, Mr. Kirby, I'm just subtly trying to tell you.
Let me go back a little bit
I'm
here.
alive. There you go.
To hit that part again.
Oh, I asked you where you were. Look, Mr. Kirby, I'm just subtly trying to tell you.
Subtly.
That unloading really heavy news in people's chats on Twitch is not like good etiquette. It's
very subtle, says Okage.
That's all I'm trying to tell you.
So subtle.
That's it. I figured this is a good opportunity to inform you. Heavy news like that, when someone asks, hey, where have you been? You don't need to tell them, well, my dog died, my husband left me for a younger woman, my house burnt down, and my car got stolen. So I've been a little bit busy. That's why I haven't been around. Because it's like, oh, God, like, like, you know.
Just what a that response right there, like, oh my God, you got to deal with somebody having a bad day a little bit. You don't even got to dwell on it. Literally, he would have said, it could have went down like this and been done. Literally, it could have been, hey, Curvy, where have you been? Curvy says, sorry, my mother died. And he could have said, oh man, that sucks. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sending prayers your way, sending good vibes your way, like whatever, like any of the normal, like, he's talking about like, oh, people come in and they say the normal response of, oh, I'm doing great, or I'm doing whatever. Like he could have literally ended the whole thing by just saying like, that sucks, Kirby. I really hope you're doing okay. I'll keep you in my thoughts. And boom, like continued on with this stream and would have been done. Then if she said, it's okay, it's just really hard. You don't even reply to it. You already said your thing. If other people in the chat want to reply to it, let them. That's their choice. Maybe it doesn't bother them and they don't feel like it's trauma dumping. I would never feel like something like that is trauma dumping. And so it just shocks me beyond belief that he goes into this whole thing and explains to her this whole time that she could have just gave a quick, easy response and been done with it, whereas he could have did the exact same thing. So she posted on Twitter, like I said, and she said, I know that I'm also in the wrong a little for saying, well, my mom died in a stream after being asked where I've been, but the response just isn't it, fam. I'm shocked that streamers think that they can just treat people like this because they're streamers, or that they can, it just baffles me. I don't think most streamers think this way, obviously, but this guy apparently does. I commented on this post and I told Alicia, like, hey, 100% you did nothing wrong here. He asked you where you were, where you have been. You simply replied, sorry, my mother passed away. And then he went off on this huge tangent about trauma dumping. I don't even think you could classify what she said as trauma dumping. She was not going on and dumping all of her trauma on chat or on the streamer. She answered a question. But at the same time, even trauma dumping, if you're a small streamer like this guy, who cares? You're nobody. And I say that with the fact that I'm nobody. Like if somebody came in here and trauma dumped in my chat, we've had it happen. Like I'm going to talk to him about it. Like why the wouldn't you? Like what are you talking about? It brings the stream down. Who cares if it brings the stream down? You have 5 viewers tops. Uh-oh, your stream got brought down to 5 people. But you sure didn't have to talk about trauma. Like, it just makes zero sense to me whatsoever the way he responded to that. I don't know if he was having a bad day or something and then he just like took it out on her or something. But again, I mean, he's the one that asked her where she had been and she simply responded. I see nothing that could even partway can, say that this was trauma dumping by this girl or whatever. It boiled my freaking, man. I was so mad when I saw it this morning on Twitter when it was making its rounds or whatever. I was like, what? I watched the video. My blood was boiling. I was like, I gotta freaking just like mention this on stream tonight. I'm like, I gotta talk about it a little bit. Just because it was making me so mad, dude. And I don't know, like, I guess I wanted other people's opinions too, like what they thought about it or whatever. Cause I'm just in shock that something like that could even happen. So anyways, yeah, that's where I stand on it. If you want a trauma dump, come to my stream. I don't care. Trauma dump. You know, I mean, is it bad etiquette? Yes. Like, it's bad etiquette to trauma dump. But again, if you're a streamer that has like less than 10 people, I don't know why you give a fuck. Like, again, you're nobody. And I don't mean I'm a nobody. I have less than 10 viewers on a live stream. I'm a nobody. Like, you get to help somebody that might be struggling, but you're worried about trauma dumping. You could help somebody that's struggling, trauma dumping. As he said at the end, it just isn't it, fam. That just isn't it, fam. I'll use his own words. It just isn't it, fam. All right, if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. We'll have more content like this probably coming out. Trying it out. It's a new form of content, just talking about things on stream and then uploading them here on YouTube. So would love to have you subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other content, my gaming videos, things like that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out. Later, nerd.